the best consoles of all time. That is what we're going to be talking about today, okay? And understand this, brother. I have been a proud gamer with the hard R ever since I was a solid 5 years old. Okay, I still remember my first ever console was the good old-fashioned PS2 playing the original Lego Star Wars collection. And let me just tell you something right now, bro. That was peak life. I'm gonna be blunt with you, dog. Like that literally was, like, when I look back, bro, playing Lego Pirates of the... Actually, no, that was the PS3. Bro, playing Lego Star Wars on the PS2. Oh, bro, don't even get me started with Spider-Man 2 on that thing. That was peak childhood right then and there. And right when I thought there's absolutely no way it can get any better, brother, playing the original MW and Black Ops games on the PS3 with the boys, bro. Brother, I don't know what to tell you. That was peak life, and they wonder why, bro, why are there so many people playing video games now? That was most of y'all's playground, bro. I want you to understand that, man. Our parents are probably talking about, like, back in our day, we would just be free-range children, and only one of us would ever get kidnapped in over a week. And we're over here like, brother, the old-fashioned MW lobbies were built different, bro. We're sounding like boomers talking about that. And then that got me thinking, what are the best consoles that we played on? What was it? The nostalgic nature of the PS2? Was it the golden age of the Xbox 360? Or was it, controversially enough, the new age gaming of the PS5? That is what we're going to be talking about today, okay? And if you enjoy this video at all, honestly, bro, this is just me ranking them, not on how powerful the consoles are, but just how good each of these consoles were in the time that they came out, okay? And if this video sounds entertaining to you, please consider like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be close. But one thing I can say with a 100% guarantee, we will be reaching 500,000 before the release of GTA 6, dog. It's crazy, bro. We started the channel. The goal was 100,000 before GTA 6. We'll get 500,000 before GTA 6. 100% that's happening, okay? But that's only going to happen if you hit the bell icon, subscribe, and we'll get there. And with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Let's go. The PlayStation 2. My hermanos. Okay, listen, the PlayStation 2 was an absolute peak experience, bro. And had games that were so ahead of the time. Well, not even ahead of the time, brother. It was literally the ushering in of a new age of entertainment, okay? I remember my go-to games. Crash Bandicoot on that puppy. On top of that, we had the Lego Star Wars games. We had Spider-Man games on top of that. Brother, there were so many bangers. I wasn't allowed to play, like, the dicey games. You also had Demon Souls on that, which is also kind of insane. The PlayStation 2, okay, and I am going to say this. There's a lot of consoles on here, and because I've played a lot of consoles in my day, okay, every console that's on here, I have specific experience on. And let me just tell you something right now, brother. The PlayStation 2 will forever hold a very special place in my heart as being the console that I fell in love with video games on, okay? The PS2 was my gateway. And, brother, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that was a lot of people my age. It was either the PS2 or the PS3. No. It was either the PS2 or the Xbox 360. And I'll talk about 360 in a second because there's a lot that we got to talk about here. But I'm going to be real with you. The PS2 served its purpose, bro. This was like the first love as a canon event in your life. Was it always going to last forever? No, but you learned a lot about yourself when you were a part of it. So you will forever have a quiet thank you for having the ability to experience it. Brother, we're getting philosophical on the PS2. I'm putting the PlayStation 2, honestly, man, in a good. I'm putting it in a good, arguably, actually, a great. I'm putting it in a great. And honestly, I'm putting it in a great purely because just how nostalgic it is for me right then and there. The PlayStation 3. I didn't get to play the original Xbox. Don't be mad at me. Brother, the PlayStation 3. Now, this was the one, okay, if PS2 was your first love, bro, the PlayStation 3 is like the first girlfriend you get that's like, hey, get your ass on the bed. Like, he's the one that takes control, mon ami. And the point that I'm trying to make here is the PlayStation 3, if you got into that console, that was the one that you were with, and you were kind of like, you know what, bro? Is it as good as the nice little Xbox 360 over there? No. But you loved the PS3 for what it was, bro. You had the Modern Warfare games. You had Black Ops. You had a whole bunch of other Call of Duties. Brother, I still play on a PS3. I'm not even going to lie to you, bro. I still have a PS3 that I will hop on to go play some legitimate Black Ops 2 for a couple matches, and then I'm done. I'll say that right now, bro. And the UI, this was like, I remember the PS3 was the first console that the UI was like super, like they started doing like that modernistic, almost modern iPhone type of look. And that makes sense for the time that it was in. And you know what my favorite part about this era was of gaming? The commercials. Brother, I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna sound like a boomer. The one thing that we have lost the plot on when it comes to modern gaming, where are all of the balls to the walls commercials? Am I the only one that remembers when like COD would do like these crazy live action commercials to hype you up for the next COD game? Come over here for double points on Taco Bell, Chalupa Grande, XP tokens. And I'm over here like, that's dumb. But it did hit, and it fed into my nostalgic childhood, bro. I remember seeing GTA commercials. And, like, that was, like, a core memory of mine that I didn't know, bro. I remember the Yo Quiero Taco Bell commercials, dude. I remember all of that. And those hit hard. Now, the part that I am going to have to knock it down a peg, it really just... It was a worse version of the Xbox 360. In terms of everything, oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong, they had some good exclusives. They had the Uncharted games. You had God of War. You had some bangers on those consoles. Don't get me wrong. You had Last of Us also to end off that console series. The problem is, dog, is it did a lot of the PS3 laid the foundation for all the stuff that was going to come after it. And I think when you're doing that, it kind of gets stuck at like a good to like a mid. If that makes sense. Like I think a good is very fair. I can argue a mid. But again, I'm kind of biased here. Xbox 360. Let me glaze. The Xbox 360 probably had the greatest run of a console outside of one other console. I'm not going to lie to you. The Xbox 360, when it had the entirety of Halo, they had Gears of War, they had a whole bunch of other stuff. The only bad part that came out of Xbox 360 is that they were the ones that were leading so heavily in the console war that they managed to be like, and we're going to charge you for online services. And nobody cared because they had all of the banger games, bro. I'm sorry. So many core memories were created on the Xbox 360, bro, that it should be archived forever, dude. Let me tell you something right now. This is going to be a controversial take. I think if you're going to, like, if you're going to play online, you got to let everything fly because I'm sorry, the Xbox 360 live lobbies, dude. Those went absolutely insano style to the point that it was practically like the Wild West of social services. And the truth is, man, the PS3 had that too. But the Xbox 360 was on a completely different playing field. And they did some cool stuff. I remember when they had avatars. They did really good on filling out like the online portion of their stuff. They put all of their investments into this. And the PS3 had like a Blu-ray player. That's another thing, dog. One of the reasons that my parents got like a PS3 is because it said on the box as a selling point that it was a Blu-ray player. And that's the reason why we got it and not an Xbox 360 because we didn't have that much. So I ended up losing out on basically the entirety of Xbox 360. But I had one friend that I would always go to his house to play on his Xbox because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, it still is the coolest thing ever. Xbox 360, in terms of everything that it had, the exclusives, the online ecosystem, everything that it brought in, the Xbox 360 goes in one of the GOATs of consoles, not even a remote question in my mind, my mon ami. Okay, I will allow that, even though that I lean towards PlayStation, but Xbox 360 would not even a question in my mind goes into one of the GOATs, no question. The Wii! Remember when I said that the Xbox 360 had one of the greatest runs of all consoles except for one? The Wii is number one. The Wii had the best run ever, bro. The Wii was so big of a console that they literally got used as a symbol of international trade. I'm not kidding. That's how big the Wii was, bro. Let me just tell you something right now. Everybody had a Wii. My grandma and grandpa had a Wii. I think they still have it. Brother, do you know what the most aggravating part of the Wii is that you could release it again right now, make absolutely zero changes, and it would still sell millions upon millions. Nintendo, we're actually gonna go crazy with this one. If you release the Wii this month, okay, it would outsell the Nintendo Switch 2 this month. I'm not gonna say if re-release the Nintendo Switch 2 and then the Wii, put them side by side, that the Nintendo Switch 2 would win. No. I mean, if they did a re-release of a Wii, okay, limited time, that would outsell Nintendo Switch 2 and the Nintendo Switch for that month. That is how big the Wii is, bro. Let me just tell you. Brother, Wii Sports, the game that it launched with, is literally its best game. Okay? That could be the entire product, and that would be it. That is how good it is. Ahead of its time. Brother, it was so ahead of its time. Dude, I remember when PS3 tried to do their own version of the Wii remote and it had like that ball on the tip of it. Some of y'all are gonna remember it and be like, holy crap, bro, that woke in like a Winter Soldier memory in me. That's how big the Wii was. Brother, I'm sorry. The Wii is one of the GOATs of all consoles, not even a remote question in my mind, and it goes above an Xbox 360. Again, no question whatsoever. The PlayStation 4. Brother, some of y'all ain't ready to hear this. PlayStation 4 has had the greatest... No. Not the greatest. The longest run of a console I think I've ever seen. I need you to understand this, bro. When the PlayStation 4 came out, one of the selling points of the console was Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay? And we are still getting games for this thing, bro. Okay, like, no, if your first console was the PS4, I want you to understand that where you lost out on nostalgia building in the previous era of consoles, you made up for in value for your generation. The PS4 generation has so many games in comparison to every other console that came before it. But the truth is, bro, you have, like, you will never get to the end of it. We are still seeing games made for the PS4. That is how plentiful these games are, mon ami, okay? The truth is, man, is it's aggravating to a certain degree because it's also held back the entirety of gaming. Like, again, I'm going to put this into perspective for you, okay? It took until 6 months ago for there to be more players on the PS5 than there was on the PS4. Again, okay? We have been in this generation for about 6 years now, okay? At normal rate, this would be the end of a console generation. We are 6 years in, and the PS5 finally has more players than the PS4 does currently. That is insane. There's no other way to tell you, and we're not doing pro models because pro models are admittedly, it gets kind of skewed because I think most pro versions of consoles are kind of useless. But the PS4 Pro was fairly useful, and I would argue is probably the most useful out of all of them because you're playing very modern games and not games from back in the day. I'm sorry, the PS4 Pro, from everything that it has, goes in good, and I'm moving the PS3 down the mid. That's how good the PS4 was, and if you don't agree with me, you're blinded by nostalgia for the PS3, and the truth is, bro, is the value of the PS5 is absolutely insane, no question. The Wii U. How the fuck do you have everything that the Wii had? The momentum, the recognizability, the goodwill, the legacy, the nostalgia, everything! And then the Wii U comes out, absolutely trashes that, brother. I remember seeing 2 commercials for the Wii U, and then they did absolutely nothing with it. Literally nothing, dude. And I'm sorry, like this is how funny it is. You look at the Wii U now, and you can tell that this was like the prototype of a Nintendo Switch. Like, again, I need to say, the Wii was the best-selling console of all time at that point in time. And then the Wii U comes out and is one of the worst. Brother, the Wii U did so bad that Nintendo actively tries to scrub away its existence. It is such a big embarrassment to Nintendo that the Wii U just never existed to them, okay? They swept that shit under the rug so quickly that you bring up the Wii U, bro, that's like talking about Voldemort and Hogwarts. Okay? They're kicking you out for saying the cursed speech. You don't bring this up. You don't bring up the Wii U. They put almost zero effort into it. It's an utter abomination. It's like the inbred cousin of the Wii. They lock it in the closet and they hope that one time when they come out that it finally fell over from heat stroke. That is how they feel about the Wii U, and that's how I feel about it. It is a very bad console. And I know Nintendo glazers are going to come in here. It's like, oh, well, he made up for it. It's like, no, I want you to understand this. For all of the good that Nintendo can do in terms of their mastery of, like, doing this or this, okay, all of that, they still managed to release one of the worst consoles ever, being the Wii U. I'm sorry, the Wii U goes in bad, no question. The Xbox One. Oh, this is bad. Let me tell you something right now, bro. There is no console that I regret buying more than the Xbox One. The Xbox One is such a complete and utter waste in terms of, like, all of the momentum. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you can't have 2 good console generations. No, you can. You can. No, you can have. No, I was about to cope for them and say you can't have two good console generations in a row, but that's immediately proven wrong with the next couple of stuff that we're going to be covering. But I'm sorry, bro. The Xbox One, in terms of having all of the momentum that they did, and really, what did we get out of it? Like no, on a real note, like we got Halo 5 Guardians, Forza Motorsport, Gears of War 1 Reloaded. And that's it. Like, we really didn't get a lot out of Xbox One. It's literally was just an inferior version of the Xbox 360 in terms of everything that it brought to gaming. And this is what I mean by it. I remember the big mistake that the Xbox One made is that they put a lot of their research and development into turning the Xbox One into, like, the home entertainment device. No joke, the advertisement for the Xbox One leaned more into the idea of, and you can go on Disney Plus. No, and you can go on ESPN. And you can watch Netflix. And you can watch cable. And I'm over here like, brother, show us the games. I'm not kidding. That's what the promotion of the Xbox One was. And it was so disastrous that it fell behind the PS4. And the truth is, man, it's mid. It's mid and it's below the PS3 in terms of how bad it fumbled. Okay? But it's not bad. There's another one that I'm going to put in bad. But I'm putting the Xbox One in like, just mid. Just mid. The Nintendo Switch. Now, let me just say this, bro. I am not a big Nintendo Switch fan. I'm just not. However, I can acknowledge when somebody does a good job, and Nintendo did indeed cook with the Nintendo Switch. The problem is I can't look past my own personal bias here. I can't put it in one of the GOATs because it's not because I'm sorry. The Wii is so good. Like, the Wii is that good. But at the same time, though, like, the Nintendo Switch, where I think they did good is that they did innovate on the original gaming formula. They did do their own thing. I guess it is basically the Nintendo corner of gaming where they can put all of their IP. They can give themselves that. And the truth is that they did enough things that were new. They did innovate enough in the video games that I respect them for doing that and making games a bit more mobile. I remember seeing a dude for the first time bring a Nintendo Switch over to lunchtime, and holy crap, did he get horrifically bullied, and I think he got his Switch stolen. However, he was the coolest guy for about 3 minutes before he got robbed. I'm putting the Nintendo Switch, bro, in a great. I will put it in a great. I think that's a valid take. Xbox Series S, X1, I don't care. I really don't care. That's such a dumb name, dude. And you know what, bro? I'm gonna let it slip. I hate this console so much, bro. It looks dope. I'll give it that, bro. I'll give it that. You were this close to making it into an Xbox. Instead, you made it an X rectangle. And honestly, man, that's how petty I'm going to be. This is so bad that it literally set Xbox back to the point that they're getting out of the console, like, development. Like, they're actually getting out of the gaming console market. That's how bad this did. Okay? And their cope was that people don't like buying consoles anymore. No. It's not that people don't like buying consoles anymore. You just had the worst console for 2 generations straight. They fumbled with Xbox One, they fumbled with the Xbox Series S, and it was so bad that nobody really wants to get an Xbox anymore, and has effectively turned the entirety of Xbox into basically Xbox Game Pass. What do they have? No, like, on a real note, what is the selling point of an Xbox Series console? There is nothing. Like, we'll talk about the PS5 in a second, but the PS5 at least had more console sellers than whatever this had. Okay, I'm sorry. The Xbox Series S, X, whatever the fuck, I'm putting it in bad, no question. Is it as bad as the Wii U? No, but it's in the same tier because that's how mad it makes me. The PlayStation 5. Let me just say this right now. I don't think the PlayStation 5... I think the PlayStation 5 is probably one of... This entire generation of consoles is probably the weakest there has ever been. However, the one saving grace is apparently they are going to be extending the PlayStation 5 generation an extra 5 years because they realized just how bad the launch was. And the truth is, man, it occurred during the Great Cough of 2020. There was a massive amount of shortages, and that shortages thus in turn made it so people didn't want to make games for the new console, and that inadvertently kind of made the PS4 an even better console because everybody was making their games for the PS4 and not for the PS5. I remember where PS5s were literally like the equivalent of gold. I remember working at Walmart, and the only reason I was able to get a PS5 is I heard that we were getting a shipment in, and I decided to sew up as the moment that this is how crazy it was. I got overtime to go work in the back room so I could unload the truck. And then the moment that my shift was over, I just waited in the Walmart until they took the PS5s out of the back room. And literally, as they're walking out of the back room, I looked at them. It's like, I'm buying that. It's like, oh well, we have to put a safety lock on it. It's like, no, you don't. I literally took that PS5 out of the car, out of the truck that it was unloaded on. I can take it. And then I ended up buying it and I walked out. And let me just tell you something right now, man. I now know what it feels like to be a woman walking around in the middle of a crime-infested area late at night, bro. They were eyeing me up like I was a snack, my mon ami. And let me tell you something. I walked away, got into my car and being like, woo! I'm safe. I'm sorry. The PS5 is going. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. I nearly biased my way up into a crazy one. I think the PS4 is a better generation than the PS5, but at the same time, dog, okay, how about this? Can we agree that the PS4 generation is better than the PS5? Yes, we can agree with that. It's not as bad as Xbox One or PS3. I'm putting it in good. I think that's a valid take. I don't think people are going to get that mad at me for this, but I think it's going to go in good. The Nintendo Switch 2. Can I just be real with you? I don't really understand the buzz around it. Like, I'm happy it did well, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, it's just the Nintendo Switch, but a smidgen better. And you know what I think it is? I think I'm gonna be real. This is what I think happened. I think the Nintendo was like, okay, last time we tried to innovate on the second console in a generation, we went from the Wii to the Wii U. So for the Nintendo Switch, we're just gonna make the Nintendo Switch 2 as similar as possible to the Nintendo Switch, outside of a few like minor tweaks to it. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. The Nintendo Switch 2 is just a Nintendo Switch Pro, but they took away the Pro and made it into the next generation. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like, there's no real innovation that they did to the point that the only seller is the exclusives. And then we're getting into the next point. Brother, these Nintendo Switch consoles are inherently very, very weak. They don't do a lot by themselves. And I gave points to the Nintendo Switch 1 for innovating, but I can't really give those points to the Nintendo Switch 2 because they didn't really innovate, and we're waiting on games to sell it. Like you see what I'm saying here? Like, what more really did the Nintendo Switch 2 do more than Nintendo Switch 1? I'm putting this, honestly, bro, like, bottom of good? I think bottom of good is a perfectly valid take, if I'm being honest here. I wouldn't say it's mid, but the bottom of good I think is a valid take. The Steam Deck. Okay, yes, at the time of making this video, Steam just did a full announcement basically saying, hey, yo, and we're going to be making our own console called the Steam Machine. Brother, you could have said so many other things, bro. You could have said the Steam Cube. I think that would have been... Brother, yeah, we're naming that the Steam Cube. Do not call that the Steam Machine one more time. That was the cringiest fucking thing that I've ever heard. But I'm gonna call it the Steam Cube. That's what they just revealed, and it's 6 times as powerful as a Steam Deck. Let me tell you something right now, bro. The Steam Deck basically being a mobile gaming PC that you can access the entirety of your Steam library on is such a good idea and is done so well. It kind of reminds me that, like, Steam is the only portion of gaming that is basically a legal monopoly that nobody's ever complained about outside of other, like, big corporate gaming executives that are literally vampires, because they treat their audience, like their consumers, so well that we forget just how big of a company Valve and Steam are. Brother, the Steam Deck I will forever praise. Now the problem is inherently speaking, how do I say this? Brother, the Steam Deck is like the opposite of Nintendo. Okay, Steam is the opposite of Nintendo. It's like where Nintendo realizes that they dominate the market by basically hoarding IP and like milking their audience for what they're worth and giving them Stockholm Syndrome. Steam offers such a hilariously good deal that nobody can say anything negative about them. If you say something negative about Nintendo, add it to the list, we all know. If you say something negative about Steam, you are more likely to be the person that gets attacked. That's how good the goodwill is for Steam, and nobody even complains about it as a digital marketplace. Now, in terms of the Steam Deck, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I'm just going to be honest. Like, for what it opened the door to, I'm going to put the Steam Deck bottom of great. Bottom of great, I think, is a perfectly valid take. And the reason why I'm putting it in the bottom of great, because it kind of plays into the next point that I'm going to make. Gaming PCs. Yeah, gaming PCs have to go in one of the GOATs. Okay, like, here's the truth, dog. Here's the truth. My hot take is that consoles are better than PCs for the vast majority of people, because most people don't need, like, the how hilariously powerful a gaming PC can get. They don't need that, okay? The plug-and-play ability of a console will beat how powerful a gaming PC is. That being said, what the gaming PCs have that absolutely decimates everything else and thus kind of keeps gaming in check, Steam is such a good deal that nobody else can compete with it, and we will never see Steam on a console that isn't made by Valve, okay? That alone puts them in great. What puts them in one of the GOATs? The memes. There are so many memes created by the PC gaming market. The modding community goes absolutely insane. The innovating that gets done on their end in gaming development. Where do I start? Where they lose out in plug-and-play ability, they will grow up in the fact that you can upgrade a gaming PC over and over and over again. I'm sorry, dog. I'm putting gaming PC in one of the GOATs. I don't think that's a controversial take with how much it's been around, to the point that the only reason you wouldn't even have it on here is that, oh, well, it's not technically not a console. And to that, I would say, you're right, but this is my list. I'm putting gaming PCs somewhere on here. And there you go. Those are the best consoles of all time, in my opinion, okay? If you disagree, because this is admittedly kind of like nostalgia rated and you want to give like any other ones, I know there's going to be some consoles like, why wasn't this on here? Why wasn't this on here? I tried to only include consoles that I actually had like a good amount of playtime on, but the good news is I played on on literally every console here for a pretty good portion of time. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider like, comment, and subscribe and learn something new. Let me know in the comment section down below. We're trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the end of the year, 500,000 before the release of GTA 6. And with all that out of the way, I will see you all in the next video. Adios, guys.